Super Bowl 55 has come and gone, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the Super Bowl champions for the 2020 NFL season, defeating the Kansas City Chiefs 31-9. What are 5 things that we learned from Super Bowl 55? I'm Cody Roark, Senior NFL Analyst at ProFootballNetwork.com. The first thing that we learned, folks, defense still wins championships on the biggest stage of them all. We've seen it all throughout history. We talk about the highest scoring offenses in the NFL. Go back to 2013, the Seattle Seahawks defense, the Legion of Boom, going against the number one offense with the Denver Broncos that put up historic numbers that still have not been replicated by an NFL team since. We saw it in 2015 with the number one defense with the Denver Broncos against the number one offense and the Carolina Panthers led by Cam Newton, who was the MVP at the time of the regular season, and now we saw it as well. Now, necessarily for Tampa Bay, they weren't the number one defense in the NFL, but they were going against one of the top offenses altogether, and this was a rematch of the meeting that they had previously in the regular season where the Kansas City Chiefs had over 300-plus yards of offense at halftime. Patrick Mahomes, 350 passing, Tyreek Hill over 200 yards. They came into this game plan trying to limit those big play opportunities. We saw Todd Bowles execute a great game plan, by the way. He has real stake in maybe being an MVP if coaches had an MVP award with the outcome of the Super Bowl. But that's a different story for a different day here. We're going to talk about Todd Bowles here in a second, actually, but the defense being able to hold a high-octane offense like Kansas City to only 3 field goals, no touchdowns, and flustering Patrick Mahomes, limiting their opportunities on third down, where they were very good in the NFL. They were one of the top teams at converting on third down, and Kansas City had so many self-inflicted wounds in that first half. It set them back, and I think that they really had a lot to come back from, and it was just too much because Tampa Bay kept pouring it on. The second thing that we learned is I think that versatile off-ball linebackers are essential against covering some of these explosive, high-octane spread offenses that we see with teams like Buffalo, we see with teams like Kansas City. Levante David and Devin White were true difference makers in this matchup in Super Bowl 55 with their ability to play man coverage on Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of the backfield and also against Travis Kelce. That was a matchup that I think was going to be a determining factor as to who won the game, and Tampa Bay came on the other side of it, and they took it in stride. The pursuit angles, the speed, the 4.4, 4.5 speed that those two inside backers have allowed them to be versatile with being able to spread and cheat in alignment against a 3-by-1 formation, cheat inside the number 3 receiver. You had help over the top. That way, if you broke out, somebody would be there to cover it. Now, on the inside track, you still have the ability to cover those guys, and Levante David and Devin White excelled in their opportunities against Travis Kelce, even though he was the leading receiver for the team in Super Bowl 55. The third thing we learned is that Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich are 2 head coaching candidates that should be highly considered going into next season. It's a shame that they weren't mentioned or even acknowledged in this hiring process altogether. 2 of those coaches, one of those 2, I think would have been a phenomenal fit overall in the Houston Texans organization. Unfortunately, that's not how it all boiled down. Unfortunately, we saw that process play out with obviously Cohen being hired down there, but you have to give them extreme consideration next year. What Byron Leftwich was able to do, bringing Tom Brady into the system, and Tom Brady, look, it was a marriage between the 2 philosophies that they have, Byron Leftwich system and the Tom Brady system. They married those 2 together, and Byron Leftwich welcomed the input from Tom Brady because you rely on a veteran quarterback that's won multiple Super Bowls. He's been at the biggest stage of them all multiple times. It's nothing new for him. 10 Super Bowl appearances altogether. He is truly one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, folks, and to be able to see the offense play the way that they did in the Super Bowl, highly efficient, copying some of the concepts that Kansas City uses was an X factor I think that Kansas City didn't really expect him to do. They expected Tom to sit back there and dink and dunk, but he was able to capitalize on some misdirection, fake the handoff, throw the quick screenplay to the tight end, throw off ball, especially against off coverage, to the guy on the outside. That's what we saw them capitalize on. Then they were able to take some shots downfield. That was a difference maker in this game. And the fourth thing that we learned is that Tom Brady still has a lot left in the tank. Now, here's the deal. What you lack in some physical traits, and look, Tom Brady still being at the age that he is, over 40 plus, still being able to manage an offense, lead them downfield, be smart with his decision-making process, and being quick. I mean, I think that was one of the deciding factors against the aggressive Steve Spagnuolo defense. Brady was quick and concise with where he was going, and then he took chances. He took advantage of some one-on-one opportunities, and it paid off. We saw a very efficient game from him, 3 touchdowns altogether. Gronkowski had 2, and Antonio Brown had 1 receiving touchdown altogether. Brady's cerebral aspect of his game, I think, was a true difference maker in Super Bowl 55. And the final thing that we learned, the fifth thing, folks, if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, understand this. The Chiefs, they are going to learn from this experience, and I like to reference it from an AFC West standpoint. When the Broncos lost to the Seattle Seahawks in 2013 in Super Bowl 48, they took that lesson, they learned from it, and it took them a year to get back to the dance where they beat the Carolina Panthers. Kansas City is loaded with talent. Now, you have to wonder if Patrick Mahomes' salary cap implications in 2 years from now is going to impact their ability to add talent or to retain talent. They may have to go cheaper at some positions. That's still a work in progress here. But Kansas City, knowing if Eric Bieniemy's still there and Andy Reid, and they still have those weapons around Patrick Mahomes, he gets some help on his offensive line back, they will be back. They're one of the top teams in the AFC still. They're still the team to beat. They're the team that's the favorite right now still in the AFC West despite the rise of Justin Herbert in that division. It's going to be hard to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs. They can learn from this, and I imagine that they will. And that is the 5 things that we learned from Super Bowl 55. I'm Cody Roark of PFN. Once again, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Cody Roark NFL. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button here on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at PFN365.